Today, we're taking a deep dive into H.G. Wells, specifically his 1911 collection, The Country of the Blind and Other Stories.
That's right.
And our mission really is to pull out those key insights to see how Wells, who often gets labeled just, a futurist, was actually doing so much more, a profound commentator on the human condition. And his ideas, well, they still feel incredibly relevant today, don't they?
They really do. What's so fascinating, I think, is how he used these, fantastical scenarios, not just for entertainment, though they are entertaining.
Right.
But to really provoke thought, deep thought about our world, society, even the limits of, human understanding itself.
And he tackled some big themes.
Huge themes, everything from cosmic dread to tricky philosophical dilemmas. And he wove in this sharp social commentary, but with such, grace. It wasn't heavy-handed.
Okay, so this collection, 33 short stories, that's quite a lot. It really showcases his range.
It absolutely does.
But you mentioned the title story, The Country of the Blind. That's often seen as the standout.
Definitely the standout. Such a compelling thought experiment. You have this sighted man, Nunez,
right,
who literally stumbles into this isolated valley, this society where everyone has been blind for generations.
And he immediately thinks, okay, I've got sight, I'm going to be king here.
Exactly. He arrives completely convinced his vision, this sense they don't have, makes him superior, that he can dominate them.
But that's where it gets really interesting, as you said.
It really does, because his supposed superiority, it isn't recognized at all.
They have no concept of sight.
None. So they hear his descriptions, his claims about seeing, and they just think he's delusional.
Like a form of madness.
Precisely. They even try to cure him. It's this incredibly powerful allegory, exploring perception, arrogance, the danger of assuming your reality is the only reality.
A clear critique of maybe colonial attitudes, or even what we now call ableism.
Spot on. And what's remarkable is Wells doing this way back in 1911, examining these power dynamics long before we had all the modern terminology. It just resonates so deeply today.
It really flips that idea of normalcy completely on its head, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder, if Nunez had tried to stay, could he genuinely have integrated? Or was their world just too different to accommodate his sight?
That's a great question. And Wells forces us, the readers, to confront that. What we consider truth or normal might just be a collective agreement within our own sort of limited worldview.
So it's less about literal blindness.
Much less. It's more about our own societal blind spots, our assumptions. And that theme, challenging perception, it runs through the whole collection, not just that one story.
Okay, so it's about how Wells embeds these really quite deep philosophical and social questions across the anthology, but in these concise, really engaging stories. How does he manage that so effectively?
Yeah, you've really hit on his mastery there. His writing style is key. It's incredibly lucid, very clear, and often he adopts this almost detached journalistic tone.
Right, which sounds counterintuitive maybe.
A little, but paradoxically, it lends this huge believability, even to the most fantastical scenarios he dreams up. He wasn't just, spinning yarns for the sake of it.
He was conducting thought experiments.
Exactly, like in The Star. That story gives you this chilling perspective on humanity's vulnerability. A distant cosmic event happens, and suddenly, boom, our smallness, our insignificance is laid bare. It really challenges our self-importance.
And you mentioned the cone, too.
Yeah, the cone. That's not just some dark revenge tale set in industry. It's a really stark look at how raw human emotion, jealousy, rage can twist technology into a tool for, horrific, calculated destruction.
It's quite striking how even if some of the specific science he used feels a bit, early 20th century.
Sure, some details are dated.
The core human dilemmas, the societal questions he's wrestling with, they feel incredibly modern. This collection really does feel like a kind of blueprint for so much science fiction and speculative fiction that followed.
Absolutely. I think that's fair to say. It shows his incredible imaginative foresight, but also this deep empathy, this critical insight into us, into the human condition.
Yeah.
Which is why it's not just a book for sci-fi fans. It's much broader than that.
So this deep dive really shows why The Country of the Blind and Other Stories is, essential reading. If you're interested in the roots of science fiction or just really thoughtful literature that blends genres and makes you think,
definitely,
it's a collection that genuinely challenges you, maybe even unsettles you as much as it entertains.
And perhaps that leaves us with a question, something for you, the listener, to consider.
Yeah.
In our own lives, our own world, What sights, what truths do we just take for granted? And maybe more importantly, what blind spots might we unknowingly possess? How might those shape how we see others and even how we see ourselves?